Hi, I'm IfDots. I wanted to do sort of an update video that went through several things and just linked a bunch of the stuff that I've been doing in, the last week, the last month, whatever. Uh, you can see I have Ableton Live open, and basically last week I made an executive decision to trade off the rest of my music gear. I have some music gear still, but I traded all of my Digitac to my Digitone in order to get a Push 3 standalone because I realized I've just been in Ableton Live for the last few months and I'm really enjoying my Push 2. So I was like, what if I can just take the things I make in Live and just bring them into the real world? And then I don't have to deal with a laptop and everything. I tried a stream with it. 40 minutes in, the Push 3 standalone just fell apart. I had to restart it completely. So hopefully that never happens again. Other than that, I've been really enjoying it. And as you can see here, in the last week, I was like making some Max for Live stuff and figuring out how to do it. So while it's still fresh in my mind, I figured that I'd walk through how both of these work. I also put them on my, I think, Gumroad, that's what it's called. And I just want to like talk over how to make these things and like why you would do it. And in the end, what making music is, right? So I've wanted to have a subharmonicon for my push for a long time. There's actually an effect that's very similar to this. Uh, I didn't have it pulled up, but I downloaded it a while back. And that's kind of what inspired me to make this. Here, it's in sequencers here. So you can see this one's mine. And this is it's a much nicer one. You can see subharmonic clone, microtone sequencer, VLM, I think it's Volume, is the person who made this. And this is very pretty. When you open it up, it's like very pretty on the inside. It's actually MPE, so this is the note pitch bend, and it will play a note that's like higher, and then it will pitch bend it down so that it can play multiple notes at the same pitch if it needs to. I didn't care about that, and then I had to make sure that anything that I would use with this like had the correct pitch bend set up, and the vast majority of the time when I'm using the subharmonicon or something like that, I don't want to think about this. I don't want to like, oh, do I want poly or para or whatever? I want it to make the fun sounds, right? This starts when you start here, and I went a different way for mine because I just felt like it. Uh, Honestly, I should probably use this, but I just didn't want to think about it. So you can see my thing here. Instead of having these sequencer buttons, like you can see this is like the sequencer, and then this shows like, oh, it advances one step for each trigger, and this one is one step at a time. So my sequencers always advance, so there's no XOR mode. But you can set any of the rhythms to any of the sequences, and it goes when you press the button here. So it won't sound because this is in front of it. So, and this is also a synth that I made, and I'm gonna go over this as well. Uh, the synth was actually much more of a pain in the ass. I recommend doing MIDI effect into synth effect. I think that this made it much more comprehensible for me. So we'll listen to this first. And this actually, it gets the overall tempo from here. So you could also get whether the playhead is pulling, but I like just having it here instead of having to go up here. None of the rhythms are activated, so it's not making any sound yet. So let's just activate this one and here. Let's put the length down a bit. Velocity here. I'm just gonna make sure. Yeah, that's... Here, I'm gonna lower the volume a bit. So this is a synth that I made. So it can sometimes... It doesn't sound great. But it's simple, it's fun. And you can see that's one rhythm. Let's say I want this to fire off every, like, at a tempo that's a third of the other ones. So and that's one for each sequence. So let's hit it's interesting how it's interacting right now. Let's turn on this. We can add a subharmonic sound right here. Anyways, I could do this forever, so I'm just gonna turn it off and let's look inside and see how I did it. So first off, if you go to the Patcher Inspector here, you can click Open in Presentation. And if you don't do that, it will open up and it'll look like this. So it'll be really gross. So I tried to lay this out as clearly as possible. It's obviously, the things go everywhere. There aren't really sequencers here. Like, I hand built my sequencer for each one. And you can tell that because there's no like sequencer object or anything. What it basically is, so there's 8 of these tempos. And what the tempo does is it takes in a metronome, a tempo in beats per minute, and a beat multiplier and a beat division. So the beat multiplier and division come in from this. So these are the time signatures. So it's the beat multiplier is here and the division is here. And this goes to these triggers because it was easier to do the triggers and like have them than it was to just pull 8 from here. I probably should clean this up as well. But so this signature, the time signature, it goes to each of the tempos. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And this one goes as well. And the way that I change the tempo based on your rhythm that you put here is that I divide it. So there's a tempo that's coming in from PlugSync, and it goes into 2 triggers as well, just because it's cleaner that way than, again, pulling 8. I made one of these sequences and then I duplicated it for the others, so it was just nicer to have the triggers and not have to draw all of the things. So these go into a divider, and it's divided by the rhythm. So it's 1, it's divided by 1. So like if your tempo is 120, if it's divided by 1, this tempo is running at 120. If it's divided by 2, this tempo is running at 60. If it's 3, 40, and so on, right? And what that does is that these are all hitting the same cycle here. And what the cycle does is it cycles through the 4 steps. And every time it cycles through a step, it triggers one of these 4 notes. the 4 notes are set by the notes here. So 1, 2, 3, 4. This prepend is just to make sure that the note, otherwise, when you moved this note, it would send a note trigger every time. So this way you can modify the note in real time, and it's not like playing anything, it's just changing how the rhythm is going to go in the future. And yeah, these are all gates, and the gates are just assigned to these triggers, and that's how the sequencers, like that's how each of the rhythms are on or off. There are just triggers here, and if it's on, the gate is open, and it goes through and it hits this cycle here. Which, that's why there's no or XOR option, and it's just all or, because I would need to put something in here to, like, if there's 2 at the same time, block, right? And I don't care. I never really changed the XOR or like feature when I had the subharmonicon. I could probably add it later. So that all goes here, and then this goes to 2 places, because we haven't talked about the subharmonicon part yet. So one is that the note just goes into this make note, which then goes to note out. And make note takes this velocity and length, and it just makes a note out of that. So you have your velocity, you have your duration, right? But it's in milliseconds. So, and you don't want to have to set a note per step, although you obviously could. So I just have this to set it per sequence. And I also have, it goes into this EXPR thing. And what this is it converts this MIDI note into a frequency. So what you could probably do here as well is just do so it's MIDI note number into frequency, and then you divide it by the subharmonic number. So if your frequency is like 20,000 or whatever, and you divide it by 2, you get 10,000. And that's very different from dividing it any other way, and that's how the subharmonics are created. And it's stepped so that you have to pick like a whole number for the subharmonic here. And then there's, everything is the same on this side as well. You've got your notes, you got your velocity. I actually have 2 subharmonic generators in each step because the subharmonicon had them. I'll be honest and say I don't usually use both of them, but it's fun to have. I also don't know why you would. So these are 1 through 16 is how I set them. And I find that after 7, it gets really, it's just so deep that it becomes unlistenable as sound. But that's your call. I just give you the numbers to set up. And I have this live banks here, and this is how you set up Ableton push support. So if you double click here, it gives you this parameter bank, and then you just have to select everything like this. And you need to change this long name here. But so I needed to fill out all of the long names of all of the things and just make sure that that was it. But other than that, the push support was really easy. And when you actually use it, like I have a push 2 here next to me. I used the push 2 for like 3 months to make sure that I would be good with the push 3. I'm still using the push 2 because they're honestly very similar. And I find that it's nice to have like a separation between this is a thing that's fully plugged into my computer and this is a thing that I will use to play outside, right? Anyways, I explained all of this, I guess. And it's real fun. So, oh, also, so this is set up like this, and then what you do is you can click, right click on any of these, and there's this add to presentation. And then there's presentation mode here. So this is the presentation mode that I made. It's kind of ugly, but I mean, it works. And we anyways, let's look at the synth. It took me some time to make the synth. It's very simple. Um, I don't know if I recommend downloading it unless you want like the exact patch that I made here and you're like learning yourself, but let's go into patch mode. All right. So you can see you've got to unfreeze the device in order to edit it, and when you unfreeze it, it stops playing. So there's this really frustrating thing where if you're making a poly synth, which you need for something like the subharmonicon, you have to do something like this. So you take your MIDI in, you parse the MIDI in somehow, you prepend MIDI note, and then you put it into this poly effect. And this synth voice to FM test, this is an encapsulated synth, basically. And then all of these things are going into these different things, and they will affect things in this encapsulated synth, which there's 16 of them, because there's a 16 here. At target 0 means that all of these target every instance of the synth, and this steal means that you can steal individual notes if you run out of notes. So if we click the lock, we can double click here, and this will show you the inside of our synth engine. And this is like way more complicated than it has to be, honestly. But I didn't want it to be super basic. I wanted to be able to make more than one sound. So you can see you have your in here, and then after you've packed it into the poly and then you send it in here, you immediately have to unpack. So you have these two unpack things, and you're unpacking the MIDI note and the what's it called? The velocity. You divide the velocity by 127 so you can put it into this ADSR object because that's what this ADSR object expects. And I have my A, D, S, and R, which are all coming in from the ins. You can see basically every time you add an in here, it will add an in here. So this is in 2, this is in 3. There's a lot of ins. In 14, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 was the 2 harmonic? Oh, I guess there's 2 of them. Well, you don't need everything to be perfect for it to work. So you've got your 2 ADSRs here, and I made 2 ADSRs just because I thought I wanted to make an FM synthesizer. And after I made the simple case work, I was like, why not? So here. But you don't need most of this. Like, don't really need that. Don't really need that either. Delete all things. You don't even really need this. I think it's simpler to just look at it like this right now. Oh yeah. So this goes into this MIDI to frequency, and this envelope trigger goes into this edge here. And I'm still a little foggy on exactly what it does, but it says that it detects logical signal transitions. So it'll report a bang out of here, and it will like output a value if there's a transition. I think it's to shut it off if there's a note off. So, but when I didn't have this, uh, the synth was messed up. I'll put it that way. So there's also this poly thing, and this is one of the weird. You just need it for a poly synthesizer. You can see like it needs the DSP to be on or off by like pushing a busy state in. Yeah, it controls poly voice allocation and muting. So int sets voice busy. And there's a mute sending as well. And this goes here. So the note gets taken from this MIDI to frequency, and then it goes into the cycle here. And cycle is just a sine wave. You can see it's a sinusoidal oscillator. The default is one cycle of a cosine wave, and then you can use other objects, etc., etc. But I thought it was simple to make a sine wave. And this gets sent here, and then the ADSR, you're multiplying these two audio signals, and that's why it's the asterisk and a tilde. The tilde means that you're affecting audio signals, and then when there's a dot, like here, you're affecting integers or doubles, like normal numbers. So, and then that just goes into this gain here. So if I saved this, this would still work, but as a single oscillator synth that would go up and down. This would exist, but it wouldn't do anything. This doesn't connect anywhere, right? And this out it's not a stereo signal, so I'm not saving. And you can see here that I'm taking my non-stereo signal and I'm just splitting it up because it's mono, but I don't want to give you deafness in one ear, right? So anyways, you can hear that it works. I'll actually, now that everything has reset, let's go into the synth voice and I'll show you how these other parts work. So I showed you the basic, like, simple case. And this is the main oscillator. And this is the phase of the sine wave. So the reason why I'm calling this phase modulation is that you're modulating the phase, right? And the way that I'm modulating it is that I'm sending another sine wave into it. How much of the sine wave am I sending into it? That's what this in 12 is, which you can see from here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. That's how much of the second oscillator is going into the first. This level is actually only controlling here. So it's not controlling like how loud the oscillator is in general, it's controlling how loud it is going out to your ears. And this is controlling how loud it is going into the cycle. I wanted to do self-feedback, so like this coming around. You can't do that. Let me see if, yeah. So as you can see from all of these errors, I attempted to do this many times, and it will give you this error: MSP object inputs not satisfied, likely due to infinite recursion. That's because when you wire something to itself, it will infinitely recur regardless of the gain object that you put on. But I didn't think about that, so really, is it my fault? Don't answer that question. Uh, it's been really fun learning Max for Live in the last few days. I'm probably not going to be able to learn that much more of it, uh, at least in the near future, because I'm going to be doing things where I won't have as much time to put into music. But it's been fun, and I'm going to try and make at least a little more content. Maybe I'll have like something that I want to make outside of the subharmonicon that I made. I really made this synth just for fun. You can see here. So 2 goes into 1. And then there's so this is how the harmonics are done. As you can see the harmonic here. So this just multiplies the frequency that goes in here. So if this is half, this is twice. And you know, FM synths have harmonics that you play with a lot, so it seemed like a simple thing to add that would help add complexity. And then I also have 3 affecting 2 and 3 affecting 1. Again, I couldn't have like 2 affect 2. I don't think I could have, I can't have 1 affect anything else because it creates this loop. But yeah, pretty fun. I was also, what I'm working on right now with this is that I was adding filters. So there's a lot of filters that you can add. Here, I'll show you in Max. Eventually I'm going to be better at this. It's been 4 days. Don't yell at me. But if you type anything in here, so like the way that I figured out a filter is that I typed filter and then I scrolled down. So you have an all pass, you have 2 pole, blah blah blah, and I was like, oh, here's a comb filter. I gotta add a comb filter. I'm gonna do that probably after I shoot and edit this video. So here's a single pole low pass filter, and here's another low pass filter. So I was testing the low pass filters, just like, you click it, open the help here, and you're like, oh, you have cutoff and resonance. I found out that the input of the resonance should be 0 to 1. 1 is as sharp as possible. So if you wire up one of these, which goes from 1 to 200, you'll go deaf. Don't do that. There's a lot of learning of how like sound works that kind of just happens intuitively when you start making stuff in Max for Live that I've found really cool. Even though, again, I've only been doing this a few days. A lot of what I found here, I just found by like doing what I showed you with the filters. Like the way that I found the cycle oscillator is that I typed in sine, I scrolled down. Yeah, I ended up typing in sin instead because I was like, there's something else. And then I found it here. One thing to note about with Max for Live also, all of these like MC things, if you click it, it's not included in Max for Live. Savings disabled. Evil. I'm so evil wanting to use my product. Crazy. But other than that, I think this is cool. The main reason that I'm using it though is because of the push support. Because this means that I can take my subharmonicon patch and I can use it like I would use a Moog subharmonicon. I can like take it to a friend's house and just like make some weird ass stuff. And I'm not connected to the computer for that. I mean, I'm connected to a computer, but everything's a computer, sort of. And if I just bring like a controller, that's enough of a distance for me, right? Um, anyways, yeah, so I have a Gumroad. Uh, everything is free. Stop making sounds. Everything on the Gumroad is free. Uh, let me see if I should show this on video. Yeah, I mean, why not, right? So, here I am. You've got, this is the subharmonicon that I showed. This is the synth. This is degrade, and it's just an audio effect track, so it's very simple compared to the other two things. Um, they're all free. I hope that you enjoy them, right? I'm happy that I made the MIDI subharmonicon. If you liked the other subharmonicon that I showed, I'll link it below as well. And I'll link the first video that I watched to get into Max for Live patching, which I looked for, like I looked at a bunch of videos and I only really found a few that I enjoyed. So I'll link the ones I enjoyed. There's one other thing that I've been doing, and that's making music. Thanks for hanging out, and have a good one. Peace.